I welcome you all with love. The battle that's going on today is a battle of the mind. In quantum physics, we understand they've proven that thoughts create reality. Now that's a big deal because we are talking about thoughts. We are talking about thought forms. And if we don't understand that, we really don't understand the sophistication of the battle that's going on. So I needed to speak to it, right? We have to think, what are we doing? Because what we think, we broadcast, and that affects reality. So when we start to look at the issue of, I'm going to put it this way, lockdowns, economic lockdowns, contractions, and fear, we're creating a certain reality that's one of contraction, separation, and fear lowers the immune system, of course, as well. So, and we're also creating a thought form of thinking only about me rather than us and also the living planet. So if we're able to make that shift from fear to the connectedness of all living life, we get a different set of decision making, a different way of looking. I'm going to call it really a holistic way of looking at the situation. That's what we're talking about here. And the battle isn't about a physical lockdown. It's about efforts by obviously the media, obviously by the people behind me, to take control of our minds. Now, what I'm really enjoying, seeing what's going on out there, is people get it. The Americans, really worldwide, people are smart. They actually get what's going on. Not everyone, of course. But in the last week, there's been a turning where all the lies, manipulations, false information, they're starting to become more public. And obviously the people behind that, those levels of lies, starting to become more public. That's very, very important in the big picture because it's about us waking up. We are, if we look at this thing in a certain way, we are at a turning point for humanity. Are we going to achieve the purpose of humanity, which is to create a world of awake beings in tune with the One, God's plan? Or are we going to do the dark side plan, which is we're a bunch of robots, we're useless, let's kill everybody, forget it. We are the living image of God. We are given the power to affect reality. That's what the battle is. People on the dark side, they know this. They know it a whole lot better than other people, okay? And this is a wake-up call to understand we have that power. That's very, very cool, okay? So we see individual fear, people worried about their own safety and way out of proportion to the situation, so much out of proportion that we're literally willing to sacrifice our way of life, willing to sacrifice our freedoms. And quite frankly, as someone who works a lot in Africa, willing literally, according to the UN, to have 135 million people starve to death each year because our shutdown in the first world, how it affects the third world. There are huge ramifications. And with unemployment, when it reaches above 12%, we're talking about at least 850,000 suicides. But my point is, there are big ramifications for contracting down and only seeing the small picture. That's called a mental lockdown. That's our work. We got to break out of the mental contraction and move out of being mind controlled. Now, I'm seeing it happen. I think we're all seeing it happen, particularly this last week. There's some shift that's going on. Hey, we got what's going on here, and now there's going to be more than a little bit of pushback. Now, they figured all this in their game plan when they were doing their whatever, I think at Johns Hopkins, we were doing a dry run, to see what would happen. But I don't think they understand how big this can get in terms of a real pushback. Now, I don't want to, but it isn't about pushing back. It's about waking up. It's about understanding what's going on. It's about moving out of mind control and touching in with the truth of who you are, and therefore making your decisions from the truth of who you are rather than what the media may be telling us or the quote professionals. The good news is a lot of doctors are speaking up because they're not affirming the reality, even though they've been told to register anybody that dies, that they, it's COVID-19 and all that stuff that's out there in the media. That's not my focus here. My focus is us developing the spiritual courage to wake up and play our role in uplifting all of humanity. That's really what we're talking about, right? And keeping our minds open so we can break out of the mind control matrix that we've been surrounded. And again, it's happening, okay? And so we want to be moving, again, from the contraction and fear to the expansion of consciousness, the sense of oneness, the sense of God awareness, that we are all one. Not just you and me being one. Everybody's one. People in Africa are one. People in South America are one. We're one with the plants. We're one with the living planet. That's really what's going on. And our work is to keep a open mind that's aligned with the divine will, and aligned with God, which means we have to go inside, not be outside looking at the media, right? And so we can really begin to understand what's going on. So we can move from fear to love, okay? And ultimately go back to the message, love your neighbor as yourself. We've heard that one before, but we've lost it. And now it's time to return to that because we are one. And we live in the oneness. So when we say love our neighbor as ourselves, we're talking about living in the oneness so we can actually perceive our neighbor as ourselves. See the light of God in all of creation. So may everyone be blessed that we're really able to wake up and see what's going on and let this expansion of consciousness happen, because we really are at a quantum turning point for humanity. What we do now will affect generations upon generations. Do we choose mental slavery and mind control, or we do a liberated mind that can transcend the mind into the love and oneness of God? It's our choice. May we make the right one. Now I'm just going to give a little bit of Shaktipat through the eyes. Okay, now, if you want, really take the big advantage of it, go ahead and meditate for a few minutes, bringing this all into yourself. Remember, we are given the God-given power to wake up and know our oneness. Let's go for it. Use this time to be inspired to go for it. Peace be with you. Shalom, shalom, shalom. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om Tekiyo Asan.